The tunnel opened onto an upper-level balcony, and the action took place in a concrete chamber below, dotted with tents and sleeping bags. There was a 5-foot hole in the wall, partially out of view from our position crouched on the balcony. Another entry route for the sucker rats? This was their nest, and the stench of fear and death was strong. Unsurprising, considering the pile of dead, desiccated bodies by one wall, and the group of fresh humans shoved up against another. I scanned frightened faces, zeroing in on the little girl with the bloody mouth and swollen red cheek. A man crouched beside her, his arms around her, but her teary gaze was on a spot out of our view. Anger tightened my chest. I was so gonna rip these suckers' heads off. Irina gripped my arm in warning. I glanced her way, seeing my rage reflected on her face. She shook her head slightly, a caution to keep my shit together. I returned the nod and focused on the enemy. 6 suckers. Not the whole nest, if the number of tents and sleeping bags was anything to go by, but an easy takedown for us. They were silent, watching whatever was going on out of view. Irina's sword continued to pulse in warning. Where were the cold ones? She jerked her head left. Yeah, if we shuffled over a little, we'd be able to get a view of our blind spot. We moved slow and stealthy, keeping below the barrier to stay out of view. Finally, we came to a halt. I blew out a breath, nodded at Irina, then cautiously peered over the ledge. 3 humans, covered in silver residue, were stuck to the far wall. 2 of them, males, looked like they were sleeping with their mouths wide open, but the third, a woman, was wide-eyed with panic, paralyzed not with fear, but by a toxin that only one kind of creature produced. Irina sucked in a sharp breath as the cold one padded into view. Its large silvery body exuded lethal power, and the scrape of its thick reptilian tail trailing behind it was loud in the sudden silence. It approached the woman and opened its jaws to release a silvery appendage from between its 5-inch-long teeth. It was about to inject the woman with its eggs through her mouth, and when that happened, she was as good as dead. My gaze flicked to the males, noting the slight bulge to their torsos. It was too late for them. They had minutes before their skin burst and the thick membrane sac containing the cold one's young pushed out to kiss the air. It would remain attached, feeding on the life in its host's blood until it was ready to hatch, after which it would feed on its host's flesh. A job like this needed a plan, needed shit to be executed to perfection. But there was no time. If we waited, this woman, this mother, would be taken from her child forever. I locked gazes with Irina, seeing my determination reflected in her eyes. My lips curled in a wicked grin. "Count of 3," Irina whispered.